everyone. Happy Friday and welcome back to the Life School MasterClass Show. And the Life School is the place for badass entrepreneurs to scale their mission-driven businesses to 6 and 7 figures. I'm back with you today. I'm your host, Elona Lopari, business strategist, and I help service providers position themselves and their high-ticket offers in the market through organic marketing and sales coaching conversations so they can scale to 6 and 7 figures. We're always looking for sponsor and guests for our show. There will be a link at the bottom of the show if you'll be interested in that. And today I'm on with another amazing guest. Her name is Whitney Kronberger. I'm not sure if I am spelling correctly.
Kronberger. Yep, no problem.
Thank you so much for coming on our show today and finding time to share a little bit about your journey and how you're finding everything with life and business and building a business.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. So let's dive right in. Can you give us a brief introduction for our beautiful audience that's listening?
Yes, absolutely. Well, my name's Whitney Kronberger. I am a Colorado native, live in Colorado Springs with my husband, and I've got 3 kiddos. And I am a life coach for Christian female entrepreneurs. I love what I do. I do it full time now. And I know we'll kind of get into some of the logistics. I can tell you a little bit about how I got into it and how I got here today. But I have always loved people, and I find a lot of energy with people. I graduated college with a degree wanting to work with people in some capacity in the hospital setting, doing transplant coordinating. But I got out and I got connected with an organization, a nonprofit here that's headquartered in Colorado Springs called Young Life. And I worked for them for 10 years. And one of the things that I did towards the end of my journey there was recruiting for the headquarters. And so I got to do interviews and pull in people and headhunt. And but what I really enjoyed about that was connecting the executives or the directors and managers with the perfect fit for their department or their team. And so I really just enjoyed figuring out what that need was and then finding the right person to connect them. So I was there 10 years and absolutely loved it, a total dream job. And then I found network marketing, and I started doing that a few years before I left Young Life. And that became a huge passion for me. I was really successful and grew my business to 6 figures. And I just found I kind of tasted that little bit of entrepreneurship and fell in love with it. And so I did that for about 4 years and absolutely loved my team and loved the company. I loved the business model. I still believe in the business model wholeheartedly. But what I really found as I was beginning and continuing really to narrow down what I believe the Lord had gifted me with specifically was coaching. And so I had a friend who kind of decided she was going to do the coaching work and started asking myself, why not me? Why is this? I've been doing it since, I've been doing it for years now, almost a decade, and I absolutely loved it. And so I decided to become a life coach. And what I really wanted to focus on at the time was women that were creating something from nothing. And I began to see these challenges in balancing motherhood, balancing, especially as female Christian entrepreneurs, balancing money and how to think about money. And is it greedy to want to make a lot of money? If I'm an ambitious female entrepreneur, what does God say about that? And I kind of had decided that was an area of focus for me. And so it has been a few years now, and most of my clients are entrepreneurs. They have a business of their own, or they're in a corporate setting, but then also have another business that they do themselves. And I just have such a heart for creating strong women and helping them with life outside of their business, so that they can show up really powerfully in their business. And that is all things from their marriage, from relationships to money to motherhood, all of the things that really affect the way they show up in their business. So my goal is to just help them become the most powerful version, the best version of themselves in their business by helping them with life stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Wow, quite a very interesting journey, and I'm sure that everything has led you to the place you are today, and you figured out, that's the new calling that you feel to serve.
Yes.
So that's really amazing of how you've been able to utilize all your experience and be able to do it for yourself, and now you just want to help other people that are going through that. So I want to ask you, as far as work-life balance and everything that you said is so important, and we all struggle with it at one point or another, especially when you're building a business that takes so much time and focus. Juggling all the other areas is very challenging at times.
Mm-hmm.
So based on your expertise, or based on how you help your clients, what are some of the tips that can help us really juggle and feel more in balance and fulfilled with our work, but also not really letting our relationships struggle, or our self-care, which usually goes out of the window first, juggling parenthood, all these other areas of our lives that we want to keep in balance, but of course I feel like the ball drops a lot of times.
Yeah. Great question. And it's definitely something I'm paying a lot of attention to with my clients. I think two things come to mind. The first thing I focus with my clients on often is knowing themselves really well, knowing how they get their energy, knowing how they feel when they're at their most stressful moments. In those moments, what are the factors, what are the things contributing to those? And so I really like to help my clients figure out and know themselves really well. I think that's the first thing. The second thing I think is, you mentioned self-care, and I think that it's sort of, it has been this really trendy, kind of fluffy bubble bath type idea. And while I think that's really necessary, I also believe that self-care is not a luxury, it's a discipline. And so I fully believe that burnout is absolutely inevitable if you're not intentional with your time ahead of with the moments when you are going to burn out. So for me, what I do with my clients is I put together a self-care menu. I help them put together a self-care menu for themselves. What I had a moment, my husband and I, when I had first started my business, he said, okay, go out, I was really stressed, go out, take some time, go be by yourself, do what you need to, so that you have an hour or two by yourself. And I remember getting in the car, and I sat in my car for a minute, and I thought to myself, what do I want to do? What's going to fill my cup? Because I know myself really well, but gosh, I'm sitting in my car, I don't have a plan. And I think I drove around for an hour and a half. I finally parked my car, threw on an episode of Friends, sat in my car for 30 minutes and drove home. Not life-giving at all. I was very frustrated that I had squandered my precious 2 hours. And so in that moment, I decided I want to be able to have something curated, something created, where not only do I know myself and how I fill my own cup, but I'm prepared. And so the self-care menu, the idea is to think of things ahead of time, so that when you get to the point where you are burned out, or you feel burnout coming, you've got something already in the works. So three different areas of the menu. You've got your appetizers. So those are things that are really easy. They're usually free. It's something that you can do without a lot of preparation or thought ahead of time. It could be going on a walk. It could be a bubble bath, driving, going and sitting in your car alone. I'm thinking of things that kind of happen as a mom. We just, need to get out. I don't want to be touched right now, that type of thing. But really things that sitting by water, or being able to have a conversation with a friend, something that will kind of hit that immediate need in the moment if you only have 5 or 10 minutes. And then you've got your entree, which is things that are planned, things that are already scheduled ahead of time that you can look forward to either during your week or during the month, things to kind of like anchor your week or month. So could be dinner out with the girls. It could be a weekend away with your husband. Maybe it's just, going and doing putt-putt golf or seeing a movie, something where it has a little bit more planning attached to it. But that way, during your week, when you find yourself in moments of desperation and overwhelm and anxiety, you are thinking ahead to something that will anchor you or ground you back into the work that you love doing and that you feel called to. And then your desserts, which are my favorite. I love travel. I find a lot of joy in just getting on a plane and going places. But your desserts are really those things that take a lot of planning. It may not be an every week thing. It might be a trip once a year, a girls trip or a trip with your husband, or you decide to splurge on concert tickets and go sit on the floor instead of in the nosebleeds. It's something that will cost you probably a little bit more, but is also something that really recharges you and gets you back to a full cup. And so it's just something that I like to do with them. We're always thinking of things, but the purpose is to have a plan, have things to look forward to. I believe in, the carrot and the stick analogy where you're running from something, running to something. I think incentives are so good to have to work on completing tasks and have something to look forward to. So you, at least as a 7 on the Enneagram, that's important to me, have something to look forward to and in a way that you can celebrate intentionally when you complete something big or small, or just need to, really remind yourself of what you're doing and the importance of it.
Well, I love this idea of the self-care menu and all the 3 different categories, right? And I think it's very catchy as well. You'll always remember that. So going back to calendar and doing that, because a lot of times we know we need it, we're overworked, but because we haven't planned ahead, we probably go into a bad habit, right? I mean,
yes.
Overeating because I'm trying to numb away something, I'm tired, but really planning ahead, it's like, it's like, I mean, we're planners, most of us entrepreneurs, we have to be, right? Because we're juggling so many things. So just thinking ahead of time and being so intentional and maybe even plugging that into your calendar, it's like you already have that. And I would even think that plan that time ahead of everything else, because that's
so good.
Yeah,
I love that idea, because you're totally right that most of my clients, and I'm guilty of this myself, that it does kind of get pushed to the bottom of the list, because in your brain, your brain is telling you these are the priorities. And if I don't get these done, then XYZ. And I just had a client this week, and she said, I asked her, she's going through something really difficult with her son. And I said, what do you need? And she said, what I need right now is just time alone with Jesus. I need time to reflect. I need time in conversation and solitude with him. And then I can pay attention to the immediate pressing needs of my business. And I think if she had moved right into the pressing need, her mind would have been on my son and tragedy, and I'm tired and I'm mourning and all of the things. And she wouldn't have been able to show up the way she wanted to in that moment for her business. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to plan and prepare. And part of that is coaching. Part of that is having someone who is dedicated and is bought in with you and is in it with you all of the time. That's what I love about my coach. That's what I love about coaching my clients, is I have somebody that's as dedicated to me and my own life as I am, and willing to hold space so that I can have someone help me think through the things outside of the pressing need right at the moment. How can I stay healthy? How can I create sustainability in my business? And what am I doing to plan and prepare for the moments when it all comes crashing down? And I don't want that moment to take me out. I want this to be a marathon. I want this to be something that I'm going to do for a very long time.
Wow, that's wonderful. So many gems you shared there. This topic, we can go on and on because there's so much into that. But I want to ask you about relationships. I know there's another big area that entrepreneurs struggle with. So what is some of your advice with juggling relationships. How do you make more time for your partner,
Mhm.
your significant other? And it could be any relationship, obviously,
Mhm.
but I know that's a big one. As what we said, your brain goes into the urgency of your business, and you're always
Mhm.
being pulled in so many other directions. And a lot of
Mhm.
times, you just kind of feel like a failure in many ways because you're trying to juggle so many things and you're not successful at any. I've been in
Mhm.
that position for so many times. So something's got
Yes.
to
Oh,
go.
that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. One of my favorite books is Essentialism. And I love what you just said. We do so many things. We say yes to all of the things, and then we do nothing well. And I love the idea of a very minimalistic, simple life. I love having things and making money and all of those things, but I crave simplicity. And I think as it relates to relationships, I think that's really important. You look 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and the life and the rhythms that you're creating right now have a direct impact down the road. And if you're sacrificing your relationship and the quality time with your partner now, 15 years down the road, there will not be a relationship to have. And especially as entrepreneurs, we say, oh, I love my freedom and I have the time to do things and I'm making the money that I want to make, when the reality is that we probably work more than anyone else, that our time is, because time is money, right? When we work, we eat. When we don't work, we don't eat. And so when it looks like, do I make money or do I spend quality time with my partner, it your brain wants to tell you this is not an option for you. And I believe, obviously I think you went through the life coach school too, but as we believe that our thoughts create our feelings, create our actions, create our results. If our thought is always in hustle, scarcity, I have to do this right now, the result will be scarcity in marriage or scarcity in a relationship. And so, because I'm a traveler and because I'm a time person, I'm always asking for, quality time with him, whether that for me and my marriage, it's either can we do an overnight away this month? Can we do a trip, just you and I, every 3 months or so? And I start out by doing a goals sheet and then I break that down. So that's, life and business, but that's all the way from a life goal, 15-year out goal, 10-year out, 5-year out, 3-year out. And so when I'm planning those, maybe my 5-year goal is I want to spend a week in Belize with him fishing, or something like that. And then my goals until then, my small goals until then are put this money away, plan to have that trip, have small trips in between, things like that, get certified to go scuba diving. So I think the planning piece is essential, but I also think just the being a little sporadic too, creating time and space in your schedule so that you're not filling it up completely and having no space for them. My husband and I, every night we put kids to bed, and then we always he calls it tucking me in, which is really cute, I think, but really it just means we've got quality time to talk and share about our day, talk about what's coming up for the next day. And then I can do a little bit of work. He can do a little bit of work, and then we can go to bed. But I love that we have intentional connection every single day, no matter what, even if it's a small amount. But I think the driving theme there is intentional and planned, that it doesn't just happen. Your life doesn't just show up. It doesn't just like become what you want it to be if you're not intentional about it. And I
Mm.
think really big. I think in big, huge goals, but that has to be broken down to every single day, how you're structuring your day, how you're planning and preparing. Otherwise, I know for myself and for my clients, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't just, come around and, oh, poof, I've got the life I've always dreamed of. It's not realistic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We got to be intentional with creating the life we want. Otherwise, if we just leave it up to fate, then, other
Mhm.
people's priorities will take over. And that's how it always
Yes.
ends up. Well, Whitney, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much, first of all, for everything you've shared. I think you've shared some many golden nuggets. I hope our audience definitely feels like they can relate to something and take that away. And I want to ask you, if people want to find out more about what you do and connect with you, where is it that they can find you?
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So one of the best ways is Instagram. I'm Whitney Kronberger on Instagram. And then also on, you can do whitneykronberger.com. And then on my website is there. You can schedule a free consult with me. I do have a few openings in my one-on-one coaching. I do one-on-one coaching with all of my clients for 6 months. So you can go on there and schedule a free consult with me. But yeah, I love connecting with people. Even if that means that coaching is not an option for them right now, I still, I like to follow people's journeys and encourage. And so, yeah, WhitneyKronberger.com. Last name is Kronneberger. And you can go to my website and send me a message, and I would love to connect.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage everyone that is struggling, or not even struggling, just to upkeep, to really be intentional about the life that you want to create. Definitely get a coach. I mean, we're in this industry because we believe in it. A coach must have a coach. You always must have someone in areas of your life to really just hold that space, like you
Yes.
said, for you, because if you don't, then things just take over. And then that's where you kind of, people act out of pain a lot of times, but we can be more proactive about the things we do and be more intentional so that we don't have to struggle with the pain at the end of the, poor relationship or fire that's coming out because we have neglected maybe that area for so long. And that's usually how that happens. I always say nothing happens overnight. It was probably a buildup of behaviors that we haven't been attentive to, or even your health nowadays. Your health is the new wealth, right?
Yes.
And we really learned this with COVID. So again, Whitney, thank you so much for everything you shared. We have reached the end of our show, and we will see you guys next week on our next show with another amazing guest. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.